the girls look for more physique in a man.
Pecs and abs, as long as the guy looks good, they'll go for him.
I don't like my legs. Every time I wear a skirt, I'll always keep tugging it down because I think my thighs are fat.
Either you're too tall, you're too short, you're too skinny, you're too fat.
And so they starve themselves and they work out like crazy.
I feel pressure like that a lot, and then I try to go home and do sit-ups.
You'll look younger, smaller, lighter, fuller, tighter, thinner.
You start thinking all the time in your head, I'm fat, I'm fat, I'm fat.
I always want to get bigger, more cut, more defined, everything.
I was thinner and stuff, and people just started talking to me like I had friends. Like, you have to be hospitalized.
It's just constantly on everyone's mind.
I feel like I can get stronger and bigger. I actually feel like I still need to get bigger.
Close up on any of the players, like basketball players or football players. You see them, you look at their arms and their bodies, it's like you just see nothing but muscle. Everyone's worried about what other people think.
My body could never be that unless I went to unhealthy means to get that, and it's not worth it.
Probably lost like 10 pounds of body weight, and like everybody's like, your shirts used to be tighter, what happened to you? I think most of it's from like media, like magazines.
Influences how you feel about yourself.
You're not sitting there thinking, oh, that's airbrush, oh, that's fixed. You're not thinking about that. You're thinking about, why don't I look that way?
It's scary.
And it's not fair.
You'll look younger, smaller, lighter, fuller, tighter, thinner.
And women are looking at bodies like that going, my stomach doesn't look like that. I'm supposed to look like that?
It really works. It really works. It really works.
It becomes an obsession. You know, you're never good enough for yourself.
Realize that other things are more important than that.
Worrying about our body image like 24/7 is not really good for anybody because it makes us lose focus on other things that we have going on in life.
You know, if you're healthy, it's got nothing to do with how much you weigh.
I always say that there is a better looking girl or guy always in the room. So if you continue to compare yourself to other people, you'll never be happy.
But what is media literacy? I had no idea. When I think of literacy, I think of books, learning how to read, right? Then I learned that media literacy is about reading the media from a critical point of view. Understanding that we're living in relationship with media, because we are. And I started to see media from a whole new perspective. And then I started thinking, when are my kids, when are any of us not plugged into some sort of media? Am I okay with my kids, with anyone's kids, spending nearly 11 hours a day with media? How much of what my kids believe to be true is coming from a voice in media, not particularly in line with my own? Whose messages are they walking around repeating? Is there any space between who they are and the media they're immersed in? What role is media playing in their lives? In our lives?
is a new chance to show the world how phenomenal you can be. Start today with the confidence you get from Gillette Fusion Power Phenom. Fusion Power soothing micropulses help you reduce friction so you barely feel the blades. Try the world's most comfortable shave, Fusion Power.
The best a man can get.
For a few weeks this winter, McDonald's is bringing you a taste of the Olympic Winter Games. With the new sweet chili sauce, the latest sweet and spicy way to dip, dunk, and devour Chicken McNuggets made with white meat chicken. The very same sauce enjoyed at the Olympic Village.
Hey. Hi.
So now, you don't have to be an Olympic athlete to eat like one.
New 5 React Gum. Experience may vary. Everyone experiences it differently. New 5 React Gum. Stimulate your senses.
We are together. We are together. We are
This holiday season, help give kids around the world a chance to play. Use your MasterCard to make a purchase from the Canada Collection by Roots, and a donation will be made to Right to Play.
Hello, Anne. I have a little problem. Pain.
Where's the pain?
It's in my lower gluteus.
Are you got tax pain. There's nothing I can do about that. Next!
Got tax pain? H&R Block can help by getting you the most you're entitled to in just one visit. Walk in with your taxes, walk out with them done. Completely pain-free. We make taxes easy. H&R Block. Come see us today.
The Davis twins are alike in nearly every way, right down to brushing their teeth. So how did only one get gingivitis? Well, more than 1 in 2 Canadians do. That's why I recommend new Crest Pro Health Clinical Gum Protection Toothpaste. It fights plaque at the gum line, helping prevent gingivitis. It's even clinically proven to reverse it in just 4 weeks. And it protects these other areas dentists check most. Looks like the twins are even again. New Crest Pro Health Clinical Toothpaste. Life opens up when you do.
I'm Jim Fife, and this is a show about why we buy the things we buy and what makes us say, hey, buy me that. Oh, buy me that. Buy me that, too. I'm talking about commercials and all the ways they try to make you feel you can't live without that new video game or those super cool sneakers or that amazing toy. But can you really trust those commercials? Is what you see always what you get? We're going to find out. Take a look at this commercial for one of those hot-looking, high-priced radio-controlled racers you can't wait to get your hands on. Typhoon 2.
The fastest 9.6-feet turbo hovercraft in the world, Typhoon 2. It's bigger, hotter, giant turboprops for maximum power. Rechargeable 9.6-feet battery pack. Incredible straight-line speed. Fly over land and water on a cushion of air.
Check out the way the Typhoon 2 zooms around that rocky maze. Look easy? Look what happens when we hand the controls to these kids. Watch them try to maneuver the Typhoon 2 around some obstacles they set up.
When I tried to control it, it didn't work. It went like crazy and everything. It was very hard.
When you were on the obstacle course, it was so hard to control because it would always like crash and you would have to stop the fan and turn, and someone would have to turn it for you. And it used to always crash and everything. It didn't go really straight. It was very hard to control. It went to that side and went all around.
So the Typhoon 2 doesn't handle very easily on land. But didn't they say something about water?
Fly over land and water on a cushion of air. 3 bigger, more powerful turbo motors.
Right. Now this should be awesome. Let's watch that Typhoon fly.
Now go off this. Here, let me try this. Here, let's go. Do that. No. Ouch! In the commercial, whenever they launched it, it went up. Whenever we tried, it just went crashed in the water. We tried it many times and it never worked. Try to launch it!
Once you put it like in, it sinks.
Try again. Try it again, one more time. Be careful when you take it out. Oh, it broke!
Every 2 minutes you're fixing it.
Because the commercial, it makes it look so good that you really want to buy it, and then it's just not good. Whoa!
It's out of power, I think. It's out of power.
Ever get that sinking feeling? Not only is the Typhoon 2 much harder to operate than it looks, but guess what? You can only play with it for about 10 minutes before the battery dies. Another little surprise, the Typhoon 2 costs about $120, and the battery and recharger are extra. At that rate, the only thing this baby burns up is your money.
When I was growing up, I was going to be Wonder Woman. No, it's true. It wasn't just those shiny red boots or those fierce, bullet-deflecting wristbands. What really fascinated me was that magic golden lasso of truth. Wonder Woman could find out secrets and untold stories with the toss of an accessory. It was kind of amazing. As I grew older, I became increasingly fascinated with what people didn't tell me. I didn't have a golden lasso, so I had to figure it out. So when my parents said, no, we won't have a TV in the house, I figured it meant we want everyone in the neighborhood to think we're weird. Because everyone did think we were weird for not having a television. Ironically, it was my parents who gave me my first media literacy lessons. For my mom, deconstructing movies like Cinderella or Flashdance, to my dad deconstructing television commercials, I learned early on to look for that untold story. One time, we were at my Nana's house. She had a TV. And a commercial came on, and it was one of those ads where a man gives a woman this large diamond ring. And she smiles, tears up, and the music swells, indicating that they are going to live happily ever after. My dad turned to me, rolled his eyes, and said, well, I guess I don't love your mom because I never gave her a diamond. It was comments like that that taught me media could be decoded. So from there, really, when you think about it, I think that my fate as a media literacy educator was probably sealed by the time I turned 10. As a media literacy educator, I get to travel the country, teaching students, teachers, and parents how to deconstruct media. At a time when young people are interacting with media for over 7.5 hours each day, it's critical that they have deconstruction questions in their tool belt. And they can ask questions like, what is the text and subtext of this message? The text is what we see, a photograph of a young girl holding hands with an adult. We have 3 colored stripes and other information at the top, and the words reading, writing, color coordinating. The subtext is what we don't see. It's essentially our interpretation. And students bring their own opinions into the classroom, so they can each have their own answer. They love this. Subtexts vary from, hey, she's learning about art, that's great, to, oh, it's so cute, she's dressed just like her mom, to, are they telling us that it's more important for girls to be worried about what they're wearing than doing math? That leads to an untold story, which is, what is the actual saying? Is it reading, writing, and color coordinating? No, it's reading, writing, and what? What is it? Arithmetic, right. Well, not all students know that. They're not the target audience, which is another important deconstruction question. Who is this message for? They research that, come back, and now we can have a conversation about a second untold story, which is that girls are nudged out of math with all kinds of products, like t-shirts that say, I'm allergic to algebra, and dolls that say things like, math is hard. Now the classroom can have a conversation about the collective impact these messages have on our culture, in job interviews, and our economy. Once students know how to deconstruct media, they have gained a superpower. And while they can't see through walls, they can see through ads, sitcoms, and even newspaper articles. Joseph is an 8th grader. He wasn't even participating in class until media literacy was introduced. His reason? Well, it's that media literacy connects school to my real life, so it's something I can use every day. Other students create counter ads on their final day of media literacy class. This is when they take an actual ad and sort of deconstruct it and reconstruct it to highlight the untold story. Here are some examples from across the state. Here, a 6th grader understood how tobacco marketing was impacting their community and really highlights the impact of addiction when they chose to put the phrase, "It's a beautiful struggle." And here, a 7th grader recreated an ad that had originally said, "Sometimes your eyes are bigger than your mandibles." And it showed an ant carrying this large bottle of alcohol, and they poignantly recreated it to say, "Sometimes when you drink, you feel this small." Here's an original ad using various techniques of persuasion, including bribery in its offering a 5% cash back, and exaggeration in equating freedom with using a credit card. James Devine, a 9th grader, won our national counter ad contest last year when he flipped the frame on those techniques of persuasion and let us know that maybe, And he let us know that maybe it's 100% corporate manipulation when that revolving door of debt is equated with freedom instead of slavery. Now that I've grown up, I still don't have bracelets that can deflect bullets, but I did get that golden lasso. Now let's make sure that each student gets theirs, so that those 7.5 hours that they interact with media become a daily opportunity to connect school to their 21st century real lives.
Students today seem to think of learning as a chore. Do you ever wonder why your students aren't engaged during class? Do they appear tired, distracted, and even bored? Like most teachers, you are not alone. Educators today are struggling with everything from stimulating interest among students to ensuring that they are developing critical thinking skills and comprehension skills. What if I told you that there is a solution for these instructional issues? A solution that would increase student motivation and encourage basic literacy skills. This innovative learning strategy has the potential to modernize the curriculum while making it more relevant to students, promote creativity and self-expression, and increase student motivation and engagement in the classroom. The key to harnessing this power within your classroom is to implement digital and media literacy. But what is that? It sounds complicated. Digital media can be defined as the personal and technological skills for living in a digital society. Media literacy, on the other hand, is the critical engagement with mass media. While those may sound similar, it's important to note the key differences. Digital literacy is more about teaching students to be active participants, while media literacy teaches youth to be critically engaged consumers of media. So why should you implement these strategies into your curriculum? One word: potential. In the past, some educators have used technology simply for the sake of it. Too many times it's used as a filler or reward and not used for its incredible potential. Digital media literacy perfectly aligns with project-based learning because it allows for students their coveted freedom without compromising structure. They can develop their communication skills and exercise their creativity, but still have some constraints that limit and shape their work. Whether students are creating multimedia or simply visual or audio messages, they must rely on effective communication skills that involve persuasion techniques to engage their audience. By creating these products, students are engaging in metacognition and reflecting on everything they have learned up until this point. But what about Common Core, the new national curriculum goals? Digital and media literacy actually supports Common Core efforts for students to grow their vocabularies through a mix of conversations, direct instruction, and reading. Thus, digital and media literacy provides various avenues for learning to take place. When you are composing media, there are so many ideas and nuances that you have to consider. Students are driven to the heart of the content or issue while producing something that must capture the similar interest of their audience. Stimulating interest among learners can be a daunting task for teachers these days, so why not allow technology to do it for you? Due to the internet's participatory culture that exists, it is very open to all people, including amateurs. In fact, it's specifically geared towards amateurs. Students today know that they can just Google something and find out anything they need to know. Media companies are in the business of selling human attention, and it's sold in units, by the thousand, depending on age, income, race, geographic region, and other characteristics of the audience. This quote proves the need and legitimacy for a digital media curriculum in schools. Gone are the days in which we only evaluate print sources for their bias or credibility. Now we must learn to evaluate media in all forms. Media that is designed to appeal to us. Adolescents experience this almost natural egocentrism in which empathy and other people's points of view seem all too unfamiliar. But the reflective thinking that is a core component of digital and media literacy suggests that when young people recognize their power and social responsibilities as communicators, they can experience significant personal growth.
Have you ever wondered why the burgers in commercials always look so good? We visited a studio where food stylist Jennifer Eustock showed us some of the tricks that can be used in different TV commercials, like how to make even the most ordinary burger look like a hunk.
I'm a makeup artist for food, and my job is to make food look absolutely mouth-watering when you see it close up on a television commercial. Have you ever seen a burger that looks better than anything you've ever seen before? Well, this is how we do it. Now, even though the burger's only on the screen for a few seconds, he's got to look so big and juicy that he'll be the star of the commercial. So we only cook him for 20 seconds on either side, and that way he doesn't shrink. Basically, he's still raw. Next, I want to give our star some identity, some definition, like he came off the grill in your backyard. So I brand him with my skewer. Now for the buns. After I've gone through dozens and dozens of buns, I find one with the perfect shape. Then I carefully glue on sesame seeds to give it the perfect finished look. We don't want our perfect bun to get soggy, so I take a piece of cardboard, put it on the bottom, it soaks up the grease from the burger and acts as a platform for our star to sit on. It looks a little scrawny, so I'm going to perform some minor surgery. I'm going to make 2 cuts, take out a V of the beef. I'm going to spread it out on the bun so he fits, and you'll never see it because we're shooting our star from the front. Next, we're going to paint our star with food dye to give him that rich, beautiful color that looks good on television. And now for the burger's wardrobe. I go through dozens and dozens of heads of lettuce, keep them in ice water to give them that extra crispy look. And then I pin them on the burger using straight pins and toothpicks. Our burger's going to need plenty of color and height to make a good impression. And that comes from being well dressed. Doesn't he look awesome? He looks much taller than most fast food burgers you can buy. And now for his supporting cast. I pick out the tallest, most golden fries from trays and trays of fries that we cook just a little. And then I make an arrangement by putting them in styrofoam with toothpicks. And this way I can get them in any shape that I want. And that way my finished arrangement always looks nice and full.
Not too long ago, the world was a simpler place. People could live their lives well by knowing just a few important skills and a few tomes of information. Schools taught reading, writing, and arithmetic because these were the only skills needed to be productive members of society. Students used these skills to learn about the world. Back then, knowing the difference between a noun and a verb, or knowing how to multiply and divide, would get you on your way to understanding the world. With these skills, people had what they needed to learn more about everything life had to offer. However, today's world requires a new set of basic skills that didn't seem necessary last century. Today's student is faced with challenges that can't be solved by knowing letters and numbers. The world has become much more complex, and the stakes are even higher. To understand today's world, we need to understand more than letters and numbers. Today, we need to understand the information we receive and the meanings behind them. The delivery system for today's information isn't math or English books. It's media. Instead of using the signs and symbols used by William Shakespeare and Albert Einstein, today's media uses the signs and symbols used by Rupert Murdoch and Bill Gates. Media invades our lives, sometimes without our asking it to. It influences us on every level, and it can come to us in many forms. Most people don't realize the media's power on us, but it's there and it's certainly very powerful. So in addition to the existing literacies, we need a new form of literacy, media literacy. Simply put, media literacy is the ability to access, analyze, evaluate, and create media in all its forms. In order to understand how media affects us, we first need to understand what is affecting us. We all access media, sometimes without even realizing it. Whenever we turn on a TV at home, or pick up a newspaper in the morning, or look at a billboard on the street, we're accessing media. Accessing media is the first step to understanding it because we instantly absorb the message being sent to us. At the access stage, we don't necessarily realize that we're being influenced. We simply take in the message at face value and allow the message to have its intended effect on us. For example, when we go to see a scary movie at the theater, we rarely sit there and analyze the music, lighting, or acting. We usually don't question the filmmaker's choice of plot twist or direction of the story. We just sit there and watch quietly, allowing ourselves to be scared just like the filmmaker wanted us to be. It isn't until after the movie that we begin to question the film's various components. It's only after the movie is over do we try to explain why it was good or bad. When accessing media, we also need to recognize that some of us access media differently, and so our experiences will be different. For example, people who are hearing impaired will access audible information differently than those who are not hearing impaired. This is also true for those people who are visually impaired. Even so, each person is able to access media at the same level as everyone else with their own abilities. We all access media, but unfortunately this is all we tend to do for most of the media we're exposed to. We don't have the time or the desire to sit around and think deeply about most of the media messages around us. Instead, we tend to focus on the media that we feel is most important or relevant to us at that given moment. And as a result, the vast majority of media we're exposed to goes unexamined. But when we do decide to analyze a piece of media, we gain a better understanding of the message's intention and of the way that it grabs our attention. Analyzing a piece of media involves examining a piece of media objectively and separating the various elements that make up that particular piece. For example, let's say we're analyzing an old Western movie. We'll watch the movie and ask ourselves what various elements make up the movie. Of course, there's a cowboy of some sort who rides a horse. There's also a wide open plain that the cowboy lives on. There are the bad guys who did something wrong. There's the music in the background, something associated with Westerns. Then we can analyze the crew. Who's the director, the writer, the producer? By simply taking the time to analyze the various elements making up the movie, we're starting to be an active participant in our media world. We aren't simply being engrossed by the story, but we're actually trying to pay attention to things that define this movie. Most people don't take the time to analyze the media they consume. They're happy to just take in whatever it is they're watching, reading, or listening to, and don't care to really understand the information they're receiving.